The Jet has one wild weekend. Bowman strikes gold at Merrittville. We go with some small block power for this week's white flag. We didn't start the fire. You know what? Never mind. Let's just go. Race Pro Weekly starts now. Hello and welcome to Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Entering Friday night's action at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway, Brett Hearn was holding on to a 12-point lead on Kenny Tremont. Let's head just south of Saratoga for the action. Our New Jersey native, Rich Scalata, going to lead the field to the green in this modified feature event up at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway as he would get the early advantage in the Adamsville Maintenance Equipment, car number 8. Another 8 up on the top side. That's Jimmy Cottrell trying to run for the number 2 spot. Kenny Tremont and Brett Hearn racing with Ronnie Johnson midway through the pack as Tremont would do his best job of sliding in under the 1 of Tyler Dipple and following Elmo Reckner right through the corner with Hearn on his back bumper. Meanwhile, Bobby Hackle would be right there along with the 87 of Neil Stratton and the 19 of Jesse Mueller, and now a challenge for the race lead as Jimmy Cottrell would find something up on the top side as the progress of Scalata would be impeded by the 10S of Dylan Scribner. It would be Cottrell going around him on the outside and Ray Horde getting him as well. Kenny Tremont would crack the top 5 early in this event as he'd slide under the Colony logging car number 667 of Matt Depew for position, and then look to go to work as he was trying to run down your leaders as Jimmy Cottrell still with the advantage. Tremont would go underneath the 7 of Don Ronca for position, and then Brett Hearn would be following right behind him as Neil Stratton and Matty D come together up off of turn number 4, and then Hearn makes contact with Stratton, muscling him out of the way for position. The 115 of Tremont down to the inside of Ray Horty, take the number 2 spot away, and then go to work on Cottrell, keeping with the same line on the inside lane, and Kenny Tremont would be your new race leader as they cross the flag stand that time by. Ray Horde right there with Rich Scalata trying to follow as Brett Hearn running out of time to try to run down the 115 of Kenny Tremont. He would slide underneath the 66 of Ray Horde looking to take that spot away and then go to work on Jimmy Cottrell for the number 2 spot, and he would grab it for the time being. Checkered flag would be out. Kenny Tremont would grab the victory. Brett Hearn would finish in second, but would be disqualified for an illegal drive shaft following the racing event. So Tremont grabs the win. Jimmy Cottrell will move up to the number 2 spot. Ray Horde would finish in 3rd, Rich Scalata 4th, and Don Ronca 5th, as that would now give Kenny Tremont a 48-point advantage in the point standings. As we switch gears to the Saturday night portion of the weekend at the Lebanon Valley Speedway, a twin bill was on hand, and you can bet based off of Hearn's dominations and what happened the previous night, he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's our very own Amber Chalmers getting the ride of her life in the 2-seater at Lebanon Valley. I'd say she's pretty excited as we get going with the green flag in the first of 2 modified features as young gun Olden Dwyer in his rookie season would lead the field to the green flag. J.R. Hefner trying to get into the top 3 in the early going in that A. Calaruso and Sons car number 74 as he tries to run down the 87X of Paul Gilardi towards the front of the field. Brett Hearn working to the inside lane early and often in this one, getting by Brian Berger for position down the back straightaway. As something goes amiss on Berger's car, Tremont makes a little bit of contact, but that would be the end for Berger as he would go off the business end. Off of the restart, the 88 Junior would take the lead once again. J.R. Hefner moving up into spot number 3, and he was a-coming, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the Jersey Jet. Brett Hearn already into the top 5 and doing whatever he could to get by J.R. Hefner and Chad Jezio. Off of turn number 4, they'd ride. Here's Hearn going underneath the 25 of Jezio for position. He'd move up into spot number 3, then go to work on Hefner for spot number 2, and he would slide up in front of him, and it wouldn't be long just at the halfway point as he would run down race leader Olden Dwyer. Dwyer putting up a heck of a fight in the front of the field in that 88 Junior machine. Hearn right there digging to the inside, and Hefner lurking to pick up the pieces right behind him. One time, however, Dwyer would get a little too high. That's all Brett needed as the door was open, and he would take it. Hearn to the race lead. Dwyer would now also lose the number 2 spot to J.R. Hefner as he'd move to the inside. Kenny Tremont doing whatever he could to stay into the top 10, all behind Brett Hearn, however, as his dominance continues as he wins race number 1. The Jersey Jet Brett Hearn picking up the victory. J.R. Hefner would finish in second, Kyle Hoffman third, Olden Dwyer fourth, and Chad Jezio would finish in fifth. 2 weeks ago, Johnny Lutz picked up a win at Glen Ridge, which would follow by a win by KG veteran Bobby Varon. Could an upset be brewing again? Friday night's event up at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park in memory of the Silver Bullet, Bob Savoy, the final car that he won with, and a balloon salute, as a lot of them being sent up into the air for them to join him. As the feature will get started with Richie Price as your race leader in the 35-lap event, as Johnny Lutz would be on the move early in that number 959 machine as they head down the back straightaway. He would go to the inside of Justin Bowler, looking to take the number 2 spot, gives him a little shove out of the way as he would move into second. Now Bobby Varon trying to make his way up through the field. He go underneath Bowler to move into the number 4 spot and then go to work on his former car as Willie Decker currently sits third and Varon would get by him as well. Meanwhile, here's Johnny Lutz to the outside looking for the race lead on Richie Price. He would look to go around him on the top, and he would find the bite he needed, and he would be your new race leader. But you'd have to imagine his days were numbered with Bobby Varon sliding into second early in the event. Early leader Richie Price and Jeff Rockefeller running right together, side by side for positioning in the top 5 as Rockefeller trying to hold them down. Meanwhile, to the battle for the lead once again, Johnny Lutz masterfully working his way through lap traffic as he would get by Willie Decker, who he passed earlier in the event. Varon with a couple of last shots to get him, but he wouldn't be denied. Johnny Lutz, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, goes to victory lane. The Cookie Kid gets it done again at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park. Varon would have to settle for second, Jeff Rockefeller third, Craig Hansen fourth, and rounding out your top 5 was Richie Price.
It's now time for this week's Recovery Sports Grill fan poll question. Dirt or asphalt? It's the age-old question, so we decided to see what you guys thought. Log on to our Facebook page at facebook.com/RaceProWeekly to cast your answer and let us know what you think. Last week, we asked where you like to watch the races from. It was nearly a dead heat, but in the end, a majority of you like seeing all of the action you can from the grandstands. But being close to the action in the pits is a favorite as well. Coming up on Race Pro Weekly, we go back to the Valley to see if Brett the Jet could double up on Saturday, and we head to the Track of Champions. Could anyone stop Stuart Friesen? Find out next on Race Pro Weekly.
If you're like me, your to-do list never ends. But with just one phone call, I protect my home, family, pets, and yard all year round. With Northeast Pest Control's Premier Home Protection Program, I don't have to worry about bugs and pests, and I don't have to worry about harsh chemicals either. Now how about that want to-do list? Thanks, Northeast Pest Control.
Ants, termites, mice, or bees, call today for your free estimate.
With Northeast Pest Control, we guarantee you'll live pest-free.
Reputable. Reliable. Results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered. There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly as we head back to Lebanon Valley for feature number 2 as the 1X of Denny Soltis would lead the field to the green in his second set of the double features. Kenny Tremont already by Brett Hearn in the early going of this event, trying to hold on through traffic as Elmo Reckner and Robbie Pitcher would battle in a pair of 17s. Hearn would get by the 115 to Tremont down the back straightaway, chasing the 11A of Kyle Armstrong, and then the cat and mouse game would begin. It seemed like they'd pick off cars one by one through the field, as Hearn already into the top 3, trying to run down the 47 of Jeff Watson, while Tremont would follow in the spot number 4. Hearn would go to the inside of Watson to look to take the number 2 spot. He'd grab that away and go to work on the KG veteran, Denny Soltis. Wouldn't take too long as he'd get him down the back straightaway, and Hearn looked to be well on his way to his second win of the evening. Not so fast, however. Hearn having to take evasive action to the inside on the 12 tee of Tyler Chartrand. And there's Kenny Tremont moving right into the number 2 spot. Kyle Armstrong coming out of nowhere as well would look to pull up into the top 5 in that Newtown Pools car number 11A machine as he would get by the Armory Ram car number 55 of Mike King. Meanwhile, back at the front, the two titans of the Lebanon Valley Speedway would continue to battle as Brett Hearn would lead Kenny Tremont on a cat-and-mouse game down the back straightaway, and meanwhile, Armstrong would pull into spot number 3, a ways behind your top 2. Caution will come out for Kyle Hoffman and Dave McFeeters, which would bunch up the field. And off of the restart, Brian Berger looking to crack the top 5. He'd go underneath the 98 of Eddie Marshall and the 55 of Mike King to try to crack into that top 5 running position, and he would grab the spot away as Hearn would continue to pull away from the rest of the field. Here's Berger going to work on Soltis. He would not be able to get him. And get your brooms out, ladies and gentlemen. Brett Hearn sweeps the night at the Valley. The Jersey Jet Brett Hearn gets win number 2 of the evening. Kenny Tremont would finish in second. Third would be Kyle Armstrong. Fourth, Denny Soltis. And rounding out your top 5 is Brian Berger. Much like the tracks out east, Stuart Friesen is clamped down on the field at Fonda in dominating fashion. Would he be able to get win number 8? Start off with some heat race action as Jeremy Wilder goes around. AJ Romano gets into him, followed by Corey Wilder, and the yellow will come out on the speedway. That would result in Romano's car being taken off the hook. Now to the feature, Vinny Sanguinetti going to take the early lead, but then Jeff Trombley takes off like a rocket on the inside lane and goes to the race lead. Car on the move in the early going. The Dover break. Car number 00 of Bobby Barron as caution comes out for Darwin Green and C.G. Maury, as Green definitely getting the worst of that incident. Off of the restart, Barron will move to the outside to Jesse Mueller. He'll take that spot away as they head down the back straightaway. As Stuart Friesen now working to the outside to Jeremy Wilder for position, trying to make his way up through the field. Wilder having a couple of great runs right in a row in that number 24 car, is now Barron continuing to make his way up as he would now come on the back bumper of Alton Palmer. Barron will go to the inside lane and take that spot away and now go to work on your race leader, Jeff Trombley, who was way out in front and checked out. But then the caution will come out for Ronnie Holmes up in turn number 1, and that sets up a shootout. Here's Barron to the inside lane, trying to make a bid on Trombley, but just couldn't do it. As now swinging it back is Alton Palmer on the outside lane. Stuart Friesen right there. Now back to the battle of the lead. Barron sticks his nose in front of him and gets him, but the yellow's out on the speedway for a car on the front straightaway, as that would re-rack the field once again. Off of the restart, Trombley would take off. Here's Ronnie Johnson to the outside, making a bid for second, but couldn't do it, as now Wilder and Bodie Bellinger fighting for position behind Stuart Friesen. And here's the battle for the lead again as Jeff Trombley and Bobby Barron cross paths just enough where they make contact, and Barron going to be the benefactor as he would take the race lead. He'd check out in front of the field, and for the third time this season at Fonda, it's Barron time as he grabs the win. Bobby Barron picking up the victory. Jeff Trombley would finish in second. Ronnie Johnson third. Stewie ending up in fourth. And Jeremy Wilder would round out the top 5. Although there have been 9 different winners at the Merrittville Speedway, Mike Bowman is yet to make his way to victory lane in 2015. With the second annual Jerry Winger Memorial on the line, would this be his night? Machine Gun Billy Dunn and Tommy Flanagan leading the field to the green in the 50-lap event. Dunn would take the early race lead as Mike Bowman and Pete Bicknell would be side by side in the early going of this event, as Bowman would move to the top side, then try to go underneath Flanagan, looking to take the number 2 spot away as they headed up into turn number 1 and 2. Chad Brockman and Tyler McPherson on the move as well, as Brockman, the current high point man there, along with Scott Wood and Matt Williamson trying to make their presence known early in this feature event, as Williamson would get by Wood no problem and look to set his sights up on Brockman, as Brockman has issues. Looks like a left rear flat tire on the number 3 machine. Off the restart, it would be Billy Dunn taking the race lead once again, and here comes Mr. Small Block, Pete Bicknell, trying to ride to the inside of Flanagan as cars roll down the front stretch. Bill Bleach flips it a number of times as Scott Wood and him make contact, and, well, I think Bleach is okay. He's going after Wood. Off the restart, Mike Bowman in that 2012 chassis would go to the number 2 spot once again, while race leader Billy Dunn would have something go in the engine. The caution will come out, followed by the black flag, which would put Mike Bowman as your race leader. Bowman would take the lead, and he'd put an electric slide job on Pete Bicknell for the number 1 spot, as now the 6 of Matt Williamson trying to dive underneath him to take the number 2 spot up into turn number 1 and 2. He looked to get it as he takes the tightest part of the inside lane through 3 and 4, but Bicknell still just too strong on the inside. Williamson keeping the battle as he moved to the inside lane once again, trying to take the spot away as the track continued to slicken up. Here's Brockman to the top side now, trying to make a bid on Pete Bicknell as he made his way back up through the field. Here's Bowman and Williamson for the race lead as Williamson pulling away, trying to get to that number 1 spot. He knows how to add him up through turn number 1 and 2, but Bowman still too strong as Bowman getting the momentum he could get off of turn number 2. He'd bring it to the checkered flag as Mike Bowman finally gets it done in the Winger Memorial. So Mike Bowman grabs the victory. Matt Williamson would finish in second, Chet Brockman third, Pete Bicknell fourth, and Tommy Flanagan would round out your top 5. Other winners on the night, Rob Knapp would grab the win in the Sportsman, Rob Meisner in the open wheel lights, and Kyle Rothwell in the 4 cylinders.
When we come back, we travel to Albany-Saratoga for some great sportsman action. And we check in again at Fonda to watch the full fender guys do battle. It's all right here on Race Pro Weekly.
Looking for outstanding service for your car, truck, or SUV? Speed's Garage is a family-run business providing the highest quality of auto care. From routine maintenance, brakes, engine, body, or paint work, you can trust the professionals at Speed's Garage. Speed's Garage has all the auto service you need, plus full towing for any vehicle. For championship service, go to Speed's Garage in Mellonville.
Some of the music you've heard on Race Pro Weekly this week is by A.J. Jansen, Country's Rebel Rose, bringing you a mixture of high-energy rock and sultry country roots. To hear more and for your free download, check out ajjansenmusic.com. Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly as we go back to the high banks, and we first start off with some pro stock action as Arsenal gets into Stephen LaRochelle and a number of cars ending up wrecked on the back straightaway. Paul LaRochelle and Rob Yetman in there as well. And then off of the restart, Ricky Duzlak and Frank Twinko together, and there goes everybody. Yup. All right. Victor Hopkins would eventually come out in front with some damage, but he would be your race winner as we move to the small block modified feature event, where it would be the rookie in the small blocks, the Ron Getchell Carpentry car number 12C of Peter Carlotto up at the front of the field. Kim LaVoy on the move in the Alexis Steiner car number 3 machine in the early going of this feature event, along with the 115 of Kenny Tremont looking for his second win of the weekend. The 115 would slide underneath Brett Haas, and Wayne Jelly going through a small hole to take a few positions away as Brett Haas got out of shape. Caution will come out for the 43 of Kenny Anderson Jr. Off of the restart, Kim LaVoy would push way up to the top side and go off the turn 1 wall, which would bring out the caution once again. And now Ryan Darcy and Demetrius Drelos going down the back straightaway, trying to run down your race leader, as Jason Harrington in there as well, as long as Frank Horde III. Jason Harrington trying to get by David Schilling for position off of turn number 4 as the Flying Farmer would grab the spot in the Reifenberg Construction car number 1 machine. And here comes Kenny Tremont right behind him, looking to follow as he would be into the top 5 early, but now a bid for the race lead as here comes Ryan Darcy. Darcy right there is now Harrington and Tremont trying to make their way up through the field as well. Here's Tremont to the inside of Timothy Davis for position as he got by Harrington, and now Darcy would move on the outside and look to take the race lead away, and he would get it on the top side. Ryan Darcy, your new race leader. Wouldn't be long till Kenny Tremont would follow back to the inside to get by the 12C of Peter Carlotto as he would grab the number 2 spot away and stick the fishing pole on the front bumper and start to reel in the back of the 21 machine down the back straightaway. It would come up into turn number 1 as Ryan Darcy tries to go to the outside of a lap car, but sends him pushing up the racetrack into the loose stuff, which allows Tremont to get by, and he would hold on as the Sand Lake Slingshot wins it. Kenny Tremont picks up the victory. Ryan Darcy would finish in second, Peter Carlotto third, Jason Harrington fourth, and Wayne Jelly would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, Victor Hopkins would win in the Pro Stocks. Sportsman will go to Whitey Slavin. Pure Stock 1 to Scott Morris. Pure Stock 2 to Jeff Meltz Jr. Pure Stock 3 to Jeff Meltz Sr. And it'll only be fitting that Jason Meltz won the Street Stock feature event as well. Nick Anitrello would lead the field to the green for the Sportsman feature event out at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway as we head back there. As Anitrello would lead him clean and green through lap number 1 as John Miller and Adam Gage would run for position along with Jack Swinton. Then Anitrello would spin all by himself up in turn number 2. Everybody doing a masterful job of getting around him as the first caution will come out. Off the restart, Tim Hartman Jr. going to get into Hunter Bates. Derek McGrew, your point leader, nowhere to go as he gets into the back bumper of Hartman as that brings out the caution once again. And then here comes the 09 of Connor Cleveland trying to send a spark through the field on the outside lane in that Dean's Electrical machine as now Jack Gentile on the move looking to get the number 2 spot away from Joe Orlando. No surprise here, Rocky Warner starting to pick his way up through the field. Tim Hartman Jr. trying to make a comeback from the early incident as well on the outside lane. As meanwhile, Gentile would move to the inside and go around Johnny Proctor. He'd take the race lead away up into turn number 1 and 2 that time. At the same time, Jack Spieshak gets into the quarter panel of the 1J of Rocky Warner, spinning him out as that would bring out the caution once again. Off of the restart, Connor Cleveland trying to make his way up into the top 3 as he cracked the top 5 trying to go around Joe Orlando. Here's Scott Dool to the outside as now Jack Swinton going to work on Johnny Proctor for spot number 2, and then Cleveland going to join the fray here as he's chased down by Jeremy Pitts, but he would stay in front of him as now here's Cleveland to the outside looking past Orlando. He'd finally get him and move into spot number 4 once again. Here's the 09 of Cleveland on the top side, 3-wide battle for the number 2 spot as Cleveland would use his momentum to take the spot away, but it wouldn't be enough as Jack Gentile was checked out as he grabs his second win of the year at Albany-Saratoga. Jack Gentile picks up the win. Connor Cleveland will finish in second, Jeremy Pitts third, John Proctor fourth, and Jack Swinton would round out your top 5. Other winners on the night, Robbie Speed would grab the win in the Pro Stocks. Limited Sportsman would go to Andrew Buff. Randy Miller with another one in the Street Stocks. And with 2 4-cylinder feature events, the single and dual cam winners in the held over were Dave LaBarge and Ben Grant. And in this regularly scheduled event, it was Mike Perotti and Phil DeFiglio. Back to the track of champions we go. First with some street stock action as Johnny Young brings it off at turn number 4 after a car spins behind him. He would be your race winner of the street stocks. A good run for Johnny Young as he's pretty happy. Got the salute point in there as well. Pro Stock feature event would see Cassidy Wilson lead the field to the green in that bright orange number 82. Boy, do I love the paint job on that one. Meanwhile, Nick Stone going up over the tires in turn number 1. That would bring out the caution right away as a few cars get together as well. Shane Henderson in the 9 trying to make his way up the racing surface, trying to get by Gus Hallner for position on the inside lane. As they go up into turn number 1 and 2, Luke Horning right there as well as Horning would go to the inside along with Jason Casey on the outside in the 324 trying to make things happen. And we have a new leader up at the front of the field. That is the 49 of Dennis Joslin, but Cassidy Wilson going to slide back underneath him as Wilson will continue to lead this. Pete Broderson now making his way, trying to get into the top 5 as now Horning would look to go underneath the 49 of Joslin off at turn number 4 and try to make it stick as they come to the flag stand. Nick Stone trying to make his way back up through the field along with Chucky Nabluski and Tommy Denton in there as well. And now here's Luke Horning to the inside of Cassidy Wilson for the race lead. He gives him a little bit of a nudge, but he'll take the race lead away. And now Pete Broderson running third, trying to make a move, but he gets right into the quarter panel of Cassidy Wilson, sending him around. Almost missing Luke Horning, but Horning almost there. Off the restart, here comes Shane Henderson back to the inside. Kenny Gates right behind him, lurking, and Gates going to make a great move for the race lead underneath, as he would be your new race leader in the 35 machine. Nick Stone trying to make something happen here, coming from back to front. From the drop of the green, he would go up into turn number 1 and 2, get into Shane Henderson, and him and Jim Normoyle would bounce off the wall up in turn number 2, bringing out the caution again. That would re-rack the field as Pete Broderson trying to make a late race charge, but it would be behind the 35 of Kenny Gates as he grabs the win. Kenny Gates, your feature event winner. Luke Horning would finish in second, Jason Casey third, Chucky Nabluski fourth, and Dean Charbonneau would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, Mark Mortensen would grab a much-needed win in the Sportsman. Johnny Young, as we saw before in the Street Stocks. And shocker, Kenny Hollenbeck wins the 4 cylinders. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Back to the Ridge we go. First off, a 10-lap memorial race in honor of the Silver Bullet Bob Savoy would take place as the 85 of Willie Decker would take the lead. Bobby Barron right on his heels, but Decker would pull away and he would grab the win in the dash. Sportsman feature event would see Chris Curtis and the 7 of Dave Constantino up at the front of the field as Constantino would take the early race lead. Johnny Scarborough looking to make his way up into the lead in the early going as well, as he would be side by side with the 14 of Chad Edwards for position as Edwards will get by him. Here is the 1 of Ray Zemkin going underneath Happy Harry Schaefer for position, trying to take the spot. And AJ Philbeck, who came from deep on the field, looking to make his way through as he tries to get by Curtis Schoenschel. Here comes Johnny Scarborough up on the top side, looking to challenge the 7 of Constantino for the race lead on the top, but Constantino slides right in front of him as they come through turn number 3 and 4 again. Scarborough going to look to get more momentum as they come off the corner. He tries to dial it in. Here's A.J. Philbeck going between Jim Introne and Ray Zemkin, or trying to rather, as Introne would keep it. Now it would be the 7 of Constantino continuing to pull away in this one, and he will come through and pick up a big race win at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park as Dave Constantino grabs the victory. Wait, no costume? Wow, that's anticlimactic. Anyway, top 5, Dave Constantino would grab the win. Johnny Scarborough would finish in 2nd, Harry Schaefer 3rd, Chris Curtis 4th, and Jim Introne would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night, Cruisers would go to Cole Lawton, Rich Wood would grab the win in the Empire Lightning Sprints, Midgets would go to Anthony Nacella, and the Bob Savoy Dash, as you saw earlier, would go to Willie Decker.
It's now time for this week's Berkshire County Network Driver Spotlight with RJ, Ronnie Johnson. Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Racing Electronics, Emmerich Associates, Tranquil Touch Healing, New England Racing Fuels and Sunoco Fuels. Coming up, we take the white flag with a young up-and-coming driver forging his own way in racing, and we'll hand out our NYSSCA Performer of the Week. Race Pro Weekly will be right back.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man, Tom, and my other main man, Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Over the past few seasons, Ryan Darcy has become a mainstay in the small block modified division at Lebanon Valley. Our own Fast Eddie caught up with the young gun and how his season was going in the number 21.
Brian, how long have you been racing now?
I've been racing snowmobiles since I was 5. Then we moved into slingshots when I was 13 years old. Did a year in those, and then been racing full-size cars for the past 5 or 6 years now.
What got you interested in the sport?
The family has been involved in racing for a long time. My uncle Joe at Darcy Construction has sponsored numerous cars. My whole family, all my uncles, my father have been very involved in racing, always at the races, going to Syracuse for as long as I can remember, being at Lebanon Valley, and as I grew up I kind of just got into it too, and fell in love with it, and eventually started racing, and here we are today.
The Darcy name is well known at Lebanon Valley. You mentioned your dad and your uncle's involvement. How important is family to you?
Without family, this team would not even be in existence. I got my first ride at the Valley from Kenny Sanstead at Bar Ken, and all those guys have been great. My uncle sponsored Brian and Corey Sanstead for a very long time, and they were awesome and gave me an opportunity that I could never thank them enough for. And then after that first year, just kept moving forward, bought another car this year to do the Super Series with, and just family is huge.
This season you started to travel more running the short track Super Series. How has that helped you?
I feel that it's helped me a lot as far as working in traffic goes. On those short tracks, you're always next to somebody, always right on top of someone. You got to be paying attention, got to be thinking about what you're doing at all times. And even though Lebanon Valley isn't quite always like that, when you get up on somebody and need to make an adjustment to what you're doing, I feel that it's helped me a lot in that aspect. And just driving the car harder. Those small tracks, you got to carry your momentum as much as you can, and you got to really drive into the turns and keep the car wound up.
You've been running the 358s at Lebanon for a few years now. What is your impression of the class?
I love the sportsman class. It was a lot of fun. I feel that this small block class is more opportunity though. There's a lot of strong cars in the field. We get to bump elbows with some of the bigger names in the big blocks now, like Kenny Tremont, who's a legend at the Valley, J.R. Hefner, who's won everything there is to win, basically. Wayne Jelly, who has helped our program out very big in the past as well. Racing with guys on that level, I feel, helps us all step our game up. And there's just people from the small block or from the sportsman class that have moved up into the small blocks, like Brett Haas, Olden Dwyer, Alan Hoteling, Chad Pierce. All those guys are still real tough and real fun to race with and good competitors.
What is your ultimate goal in racing?
I would love to eventually find our way into a big block some way, somehow. Funding, of course, for a promoter is the biggest hurdle at this point, but hopefully big blocks, and I would love to maybe get an opportunity to drive a late model at some point.
Who do you need to thank?
Everybody, my Uncle Joe, Darcy Construction, Kenny Sandstead at Barken, my mom and dad, my sister, just all my family who keeps the whole train moving here. Al Crowbaugh, Bobby Chalmers, Matt Precy does our shocks. He's been a huge help to us. I know I'm probably forgetting a ton of people, but I can't thank everyone enough.
It's now time for this week's NYSSCA Performer of the Week, and with his win in the Winger Memorial this week, it goes to Mike Bowman. Bowman is now eligible for a Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Amber Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.